Greetings. Welcome to the channel. This is Wanda, and thank you so much for tuning in. I want to do a video today. I want to talk to you about why it is important to walk alone and why it is important to have the courage to walk alone. Many of us, as middle-aged women or even younger, a lot of us, we have been in relationships and marriages and from for a while, like since maybe teenage years or whatever. But a lot of us have been in entanglements and relationships and marriages, and so if we still are, whether we still are or not, um, it is ideal to be able to uh, condition your mind, to train yourself to be strong enough to walk alone if you have to. Now, if you have a marriage, if you're married and relationship and whatever you got going on and it's solid, then that's fine too. But always prepare in your heart and mind that if you needed to walk this walk alone or live this life alone or do things alone, travel alone, do business alone, whatever it is, you need to be all right with walking alone without anybody else except for you and the one who created you. But it's something that you need to think about, or you need to just consider it, because you can be in a marriage today and thinking in your mind this is forever, and then something unexpected comes up. The person could pass away, you guys could break up, you could be a divorce, or anything can happen, and that will make it to where you are by yourself. So if you start preparing in your mind that I can do it. I can walk alone. I can manage my life alone. I can walk this walk alone. I can do business alone. I can travel alone. Whatever, you have to get your mind prepared, I would say, for being able to do that, even if you don't have to do it, which is great. But if you do have to, and it happens for a lot of women where they can get married in their 20s, like I did. I got married in my 20s, and then we got divorced in my 40s. And then at 40 something, I had to learn to do things alone, to walk alone, to raise my son by myself. Like, I had to learn to be a single parent, had to learn to do all these things alone. I've always had somebody there with me to, since the beginning, well, since my 20s, to be like a helper. Well, I was a helper to him, or a partner, right? But when they're not there, you still have to live your life. Life has to go on. You still have to go to work. You still have to take care of your family. You still have to, especially if you end up with the child, you have to take care of the family. You have to pay bills, rents, car notes, do business, travel. You still have to do these things. So you have to prepare in your mind that if things were to happen, then you would be able to manage. You would be strong enough to do these things, not solely dependent on the other person, to where if something happens to them, then it would devastate your life. You need to have maybe funds set aside, a bank account of your own, things of your own. So if things happen, then you would have something to fall back on. So have the courage and the mindset to say to yourself, if I need to walk alone, then I will be able to do that. Yes, I love being married or in relationships or having someone always there with me. But if something were to happen, would I be able to manage? So those are the kind of thoughts and ideas that we all should prepare for or have in our minds, because you just don't know. Life is unpredictable. You don't know what the future holds all the time. Only the one who created us knows. So just plan your life accordingly, and don't solely depend on another human being for everything that you need. You have to plan to have something for yourself, a backup plan, or something set aside for emergencies or anything like that. So being okay with walking alone, and even if you're not doing it now, you some of us have been thrown into it and we just don't have a choice but to work it out. And it has been, it worked for some of us, but for some others, has not worked out. That's why you have some people that are like homeless and just, in a situation. So prepare ahead of time to financially, especially to be able to provide for yourself, provide for your children, whether that spouse is there or not. It's always a blessing if they're there, but always have plan, right? Plan ahead, plan accordingly, set things aside for emergencies, whether you have a 401k, whether you have savings, you have your own, you got to have something. So in case something happens of emergency, you can take care of you, at least provide a roof over your head for you and your children, or just for yourself. So be okay with walking alone. It's something that I did back in 2020. I left the U.S., everything I've ever known, and I moved to Africa by myself, solo, middle age, alone. Didn't know how things would turn out. Didn't know how things would work out. I had a plan, but because you're coming from the Western developed countries to a developing country to a less developed country or a developing country on the continent, which is where I went, you don't always know how business is done. You don't know how things might work out. So it can be a little tricky, even if you have savings or money or a plan. Sometimes plans fall through. I did a video back, I think in 21 or 22, where I was saying, when you decide that you want to move to Africa, have a plan A, B, C, A, B, and C, because sometimes you have an idea of how you want things to work or how you think things are going to work, but a lot of your ideas are based on the systems that you learned in the West. And when you come out of the West and you go to these other countries, whether it's the Philippines, whether it's Thailand, whether it's Brazil or Colombia or wherever you decide to go, Mexico or Canada or wherever you decide to go. Um, Sometimes, well, Canada is kind of close to the way the system is run in the U.S., but like Mexico, in the developing ones, in the developing countries, then things don't always work out the way that you have in your mind, you envision your mind things to work out. So you have to have financial plans. You have to have business plans in mind of what you might want to do, or if you're retired, then you can do retirement, permits or whatever, and you get some income. So that's a little bit easier when you do have some income. But when you're younger than that and you are not retired, which I came here at in my late 40s, almost 50. So I wasn't retirement age yet. So I still had to figure out how I'm going to manage my life until I get to that point. So yeah, just always have the courage to, if you needed to walk alone in this life journey, you could do it and you wouldn't like fall apart. You wouldn't be like devastated. You would just take it one day at a time. Start planning today. It does not matter what situation you're in. As a female, as a woman, I'm coming from a female woman's perspective, and that could be for men too. Just make plans that if always have like a backup plan in your mind. Like if something happens here, I'll have this set aside, have that set aside. Or even if things are good and you just get older, you need to have a nest egg, you need to have some savings or something. And right now, if you don't, you can still make plans in your mind. Just because you don't physically have the money, that does not mean that you can't make plans, write things down, and have an idea. So when you do get the money, you can implement your project or your idea or your plan. So just never be afraid to walk alone. And I just want to do this video to encourage all those who are in situations where relationship breaks up, so marriage, divorce situations, or falling out with people. Maybe you fell out with your parents and you have to walk alone and do things. Things didn't work out at home. You had to leave. Whatever the situation might be, this video can encourage those who, are in situations, or to plan to, if something were to happen and you were alone and everybody turned against you and nobody was talking to you and your family, and you needed to be okay. You need to be okay with moving forward in your life alone. So just trust the one who created you. If you are a spiritual person, trust the uncreated creator, and he will give you guidance. He will lead you, just like he made Abraham in the Bible leave his father and just take his wife or whatever and leave, or just this was even before he was, but yeah, just leave your father's house. And he didn't know where he was going, but he trusted the father to show him. So the same can happen for us. You know, it's not over if things fall apart with you in your family, in your spouse, or relationships or whatever. You can still manage to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and move forward in your life. You just have to, plan, stay calm, and think ahead of ahead of what you're going to do in situations where you get fired from your job or unexpectedly, or you lose your house or whatever the case might be, and you are in a situation where you have to manage on alone. So, it is possible. Um, some of us have done it successfully, and be encouraged because you can do it too. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll do another video in the next couple of days. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thumbs up on my channel. I'm trying to grow this channel to at least 500 subscribers. I think I'm at 180 subscribers, and this is my backup channel. I have a main channel. But thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you guys in the next video.